Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Tuesday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions. ableauctions.ca. Is it Wednesday today?
Yeah.
Time flies. Okay, I wonder, before we bring Iain MacIntyre on, I'm not sure what the situation is with Iain. We all know he's a talented writer.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm wondering if he considers himself, well, I'm going to say this. I think he's a talented photographer. I'm looking at his Twitter account. He went all over BC.
Oh, look at that.
In the summer, he was in Saskatchewan. This is just one example of the
beautiful
photography that Iain posted on his Twitter account.
Remember the photo he took from an airplane outside of Kelowna?
Yeah, we showed that one.
Yeah. And he shot a picture of the moon the other day or something, the sky, the moon going down or something like that.
Yeah. Multi-talented Iain MacIntyre, Sportsnet.ca.
Great guy.
Joins us now to talk about photography and the Canucks. How are you, Iain?
I'm doing well. I've missed you guys. I feel great. Like that minute of introduction, even though I know you're giving me the gears.
We're not.
I'm not, because actually there were other photos. I think the one from Saskatchewan, the flowers in the foreground of the shot of the Chateau Whistler, just absolutely beautiful. Do you consider yourself, or are you a photo bug?
Well, I have to admit that I did train as a photographer. When I was getting into journalism, I was doing photography as well.
There you go.
And I had to choose one or the other, and I chose writing, or maybe writing chose me, because that's when a good job came along. I guess it's worked out all right, but I still love photography, and as imperfect as we all know the iPhone is, it's got a fantastic camera and editing features. So I love taking pictures. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you for noticing. And Donnie, it seems like you've really done your research for this segment.
Yes. Yeah. I looked at your Twitter account about 3 or 4 minutes ago and came up with that.
Exactly. And Dolly, on the other hand, he's been working since what, like August 4th?
Oh, yeah.
You're lucky, Rick, that you don't cover a U.S. college football team.
Why?
Otherwise, you'd be texting 70 agents or advisors a day.
Their rosters are very big. You're right.
He's working. He's been working since August 4th just for this interview, Iain.
Yes.
So we'll see what he comes up with. Now, on top of the photography, also part of your work and available on your Twitter account, several articles on the Canucks over the last couple of days. One outstanding piece on Quinn Hughes. Iain, he says in your article he's going to be even better this season than his Norris Trophy season. I'm paraphrasing here. In what ways can Quinn Hughes, captain of the Canucks, actually improve?
Well, I wonder that myself, because I posed that question to him by saying, everybody has a ceiling. Like, eventually, we all have ceilings. We hit ours a while ago, as you guys know. But I think, from what he says, he thinks he can be still even more aggressive offensively. He thinks he can score 20 goals. I asked him about 100 points, and he didn't shy away from that threshold. Of course, Erik Karlsson is the only defenseman this century to have 100 points. Mm-hmm. And, he should be smarter. I think he's a little stronger. So, and defensively, his improvement on the defensive side of the game has been remarkable. I don't know realistically that we can expect any more than we got from Quinn Hughes last year. I mean, he was the first Canuck in 4 years to win the Norris Trophy. He was the best defenseman on the planet. I'm not sure how much more you can expect from him, but he certainly thinks that he's going to continue to get better. And I told him this as well. I remember his first season, his rookie season, not the cameo where he came in for a few games at the end, but his rookie season in 1920, talking to him. I believe it was the first week of the season, because he played his first game. He and Tanev were out on the ice against Connor McDavid. And Quinn said to Tanev, "Are we staying on or are we going off?" And Tanev said, we're staying on. And Tanev told me Quinn then said, "Okay, let's go." And so I remember asking him after about that time, well, how do you feel? And he said, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be better than I am right now. And 2 months from now, I'm going to be better. And he has basically maintained that. Now, the improvement curve must flatten out at some point. But if you think about it, here was a guy that even after he had the great rookie season, finished runner-up to Cale Makar, he had a terrible pandemic season, as all the Canucks did. People maligned him for his defensive play, couldn't play defense. So he learns to defend. He was on himself. He was looking at all the other top defensemen and how they were all scoring goals in double figures. And Quinn put it on himself. I've got to score more. Last season, he scores 17 goals. I don't know how much more we can expect, but I know that he's a guy who believes that he's always going to keep improving. I think that's one of the things he took away from Roman Josi as well, talking to him at his dad's development camp in Michigan this summer.
Boy, if they could, every draft pick can be like Quinn Hughes, wouldn't the Canucks be contending for the Cup every year? Iain Demko, are you worried back-to-back knee injuries? Are you concerned about this guy going forward as injury-prone or not?
I'm concerned about how his season will begin, and I know we've all spent a lot of time discussing this and thinking about it over the last month. I almost think that the priorities of the concern are a little out of order. I think a lot of people are fixated on, is he going to be ready for the regular season? Is he going to be ready for game one? To me, that's not the big worry, because, whether it's game one, whether it's game 5, whether it's game 10, he's going to be ready and at some point, and he's going to play. And that point will be early in the season, unless something unforeseen happens. We know, of course, that Shilov's was terrific in the playoffs. So if he can do that, he can certainly Shilov's play in October. To me, the bigger concern is what happens after he gets back. And maybe that's what you're asking me, Rick, about him being injury prone. We all remember his season 2 years ago, which was the first time he had a procedure in the off season. He came back and really struggled and then got hurt again. I think he has to, it sounds a little unfair, but I think he has to show that he can make it through a full season unscathed. But a lot of that is on the team as well. You can't be, he missed a month of the season late in the year, but before that month, he'd played 51 games already.
That's it.
You can't be running your goalies out at 60, 65 games a year. Almost nobody does that anymore, right? It's not a recipe for success. So they've got to manage his minutes. I know that there's real determination within the organization. Of course, they've made a coaching change at that position as well to manage his time, and not just in terms of starts, but in off days, because Thatcher Demko is a guy, as was Jacob Markstrom, as was Roberto Luongo. A lot of the great goalies are just wired this way. They want to be on the ice every day, whether they're playing that night or not. They want to be on the ice. It's part of their routine. Sometimes you have to say, no, you're not going on the ice today. And I think the team is prepared to do that this year. My concern for Thatcher Demko isn't that whether he's going to be ready or not for game one, because I think he's going to be ready early in the season. My concern is what happens after he gets back, and will he be able to be in the top form that we saw last year, or is it going to be another season like we saw 2 years ago?
Iain, one of the reasons I will write the Canucks off this year is Rick Tocchet. I just think the Canucks have the best coaching staff since Alain Vigneault, and Gonchar Foot, they teach, they make you get better, they don't let you get complacent. Your thoughts on this coaching staff? I mean, he's the coach of the year, and the amount of guys that went to their agents in the offseason and said, I want to go back to Vancouver because of the coaching staff, is pretty high. I think Tocchet's done an incredible job here.
Yeah, I think he has as well, and he's fantastic to deal with. So I have a bias there, because it helps when your coach is available to the media and explains things to the public. And Tocchet is fantastic. I think you're right that the players love this staff. I still think there's some questions about how it's all going to work out. Losing Mike Yeo in the summer, I don't think that was ideal. I'm not sure about the goaltending change, and having Ian Clark's role as diminished as it seems to be. But certainly everything stems from the head coach. And I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch, especially in the first half of this season, because, Tocchet, he's very demanding. We know that. Every good coach is demanding. Who isn't? But I think he feels like, he's been around a year and a half. This is Rick.
Yep.
The players know the system. They know the expectations. I think there's going to be far less leeway from Rick Tocchet to his players and to his team about, not being ready or not playing with the urgency they need, or not executing the system the way it's intended. I think he's going to be a harder coach this year. Mm-hmm. Now, he can do that because he's established trust. He's established fairness. He's not coming in as an unknown and trying to be the new sheriff in town. He's already the sheriff, and he's been reelected. So they know what they have with him. And I think he's going to, just as the team can't be complacent, certainly Rick Tocchet is not going to be complacent. I think he's going to be harder on these guys and more demanding, because he understands how hard it is to have a 109-point season, and that it's even harder to come back after your first taste of success and be even better. Sometimes responding to losing is a lot easier in some ways than responding to winning. And I think there's going to be an intensity about Rick Tocchet and the coaching staff early on in the season to establish the pattern that they want and to establish the expectations on the players for this season.
Are you and your iPhone camera heading up to Penticton?
We are.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to the Prospects, and then I'm going to try and come home for about a day and a half, and then go back to main camp. So yes, I'll be heading up tomorrow.
Nice. We look forward to the stories and the photos on your Twitter account, Ian. Thanks so much for this.
Well, thank you, guys. Yeah. Thanks for enjoying photography. We should all have interests, right? Multidimensional.
Yes.
Yeah, and we should all have talent, but no one's going to come close to you when it comes to photography, Ian. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
See you guys.